I called because your number kept flashing on my phone. I said,
It was not me.
I wonder. And I was in Boston when I got it, so.
I've had a lot of calls lately that mimic somebody in your address book and it turns out it's spam call. It wasn't me today.
Okay. No, I didn't know if you wanted something, and I couldn't get back with you. That's all.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I've had a lot of those spam calls lately.
They're crazy.
All right, it being 6:30, I will call the Board of Selectmen meeting to order. First order of business is to approve the minutes from April 28th.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. Next, we have a request for property abatement. This is for map 35, lot 20, in the amount of $1,323. This is for the boat launch for the Sportsman's Club.
So moved. Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. Further away. All right, next we have the contract with Southwest Regional Planning Commission, just giving them permission through the grant to do the
administration work.
that's the word I was looking for, on the feasibility study for the boat ramp, or the boat ramp on the Mind, the handicap ramp out at the town beach.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. There's only one spot for one signature. Next is just a reminder that this coming Tuesday, the 11th, are elections up at the school. So everybody will be there. I know Gloria's still looking for an alternate for herself. I'll be there. Channy, you're going to be there?
Yes.
James, you're going to make it up?
I'm not sure yet. Most likely not, though, Ben.
Yeah, and Jack's on the ballot, so he can't be. So we'll have a quorum there for the day. And then Carrie is on vacation next week for next week's meeting. So would we like to have Margaret come in and take the minutes for the meeting? Or do we want to just try to take them ourselves? What's the board's pleasure with that?
Last time you did it, right? I mean,
Well, the last time we had Margaret do it, because the time before I did it,
oh,
and it was just very difficult to try and run the meeting and take the minutes of the meeting at the same time.
You should have somebody else do it, definitely.
Yeah, so if nobody else from the board wants to do it, have Margaret come in. Okay, so I'll have Margaret come in next week, do the minutes of the regular meeting. She can leave as soon as the regular meeting's over. And then we got it's really just an FYI for the town, but Comcast is in the process of providing service on Very Brook Road. They've submitted all their applications to the pole owners and are waiting for all that. So it was really just an FYI for the town. So if you live on Very Brook Road, you'll have access to Comcast pretty soon, which is definitely a step in the right direction. Next, we have I don't know if I'd call this a request, but the cemetery has put in a building application and to put on, they need to put on an addition to their new building already. It's 15 by 27. There's not enough room with the way the bays are to put all the lawnmowers and the tractor and the trailer inside the building. So they're putting for the lack of a better definition, a lean-to style addition on the side of it that will have a bay door. It'll be fully enclosed. And they do have enough money left in the cemetery donation account to pay for it. So that will be happening. This building permit was already approved, right, Carrie?
No, it has not been. It came to you guys first, being that it's a town building.
Yeah. I mean, it's in line and in order,
It is in order, yes.
and they have the money for it, so.
Correct.
Does anybody oppose this work being done? No? All right, well, let Steve know that it's all set and they can do their work. Next, we did get a letter from a citizen. It's only one paragraph, so I'll just read the whole thing. Dear Select Board members, the town owns property on Lower Elm Street next to the old church. The property is an eyesore and not being maintained in any way. Since the town of Winchester is interested in property owners maintaining their homes, perhaps the town who owns the property should cut down random trees growing around the house and maybe even consider selling it. It's been like this for years and is frankly unacceptable. I had heard at one time this property was considered for the police department. If you have this in your plan, no one knows, as there is no discussion about this in any meetings or minutes. If that is not the plan, may I please know why this unmaintained town property is still on the town-owned property list, and why aren't you selling it? Looking forward to a response. Sincerely, Colleen Duquette, 63 Elm Street. So yes, I mean, I'm pretty sure we have discussed it in meetings a couple times, that we're, and we've had our grant writer searching for a grant for a couple years now to try to build a new police station over there on that property. This would be the second property on the right, just over the Elm Street Bridge here. The town has owned it since before I got on the select board, so for quite a while. And we felt that that would be a great location for a new police station. We're still searching for grant money to do so. Unfortunately, the building itself is uninhabitable and condemned, and the property itself that goes with the house is not very big. It's not the entire property that you see there. So yeah, that is our plan still, is to put a new police station over there. And we haven't heard any updates from the grant writer, right?
No,
Yeah.
I'll check in with them.
So yeah, if you could check in with them and let us know. I do see quite a few other towns in New Hampshire doing municipal building projects using grants, so I know the grants are out there, so it'd be nice to know what's going on.
My suggestion is, it's already been 2 years. Maybe we ought to consider selling it if nothing's going to happen. I mean,
Yeah, well, I'd like to get a response back from the grant writer and see what he has to say. It won't be next week, obviously, because Carrie's going to be out, but the following week, hopefully. And then we can go from there and determine from there what we're going to do.
You said they've been 2 years now. Right.
Well, it's been
with the
2
grant
years
writer.
that we've been looking for,
Yeah, for a
at least
grant.
2 years, we've been looking for a grant to do the project. The town's owned the property for, well, more than 5, because I've been on the board 5 years now, going on 6. And it's been since before that.
In the town's behalf, we haven't had a grant writer until the last couple of years, and then with the culvert, I'm sure that was the holdup on the money for getting money for this, you know, that's been
Yeah.
on the culvert, so.
Yeah, I honestly,
We have been looking at it to do something, because Barry Gordon wants to buy it and tear it down, so we're holding off on that.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not positive for the reasons why, but I'd like an answer from the grant writer, so.
Yep.
Next in here, we have a letter, on the, well, it's a contract to review between Primex, our insurance company, and the Winchester Firefighters Association, which is a nonprofit that the fire department started on, this contract is for insuring the donated forest fire truck that they just received. And because the truck's part of the association and not a town-owned piece of equipment, it's owned through the association now. They worked with our insurance company on basically a lease, considered a lease agreement, and with a way to get it onto the town's insurance. So the question is, and I feel like we should, even though it is right from Primex, but I still feel like we should send this to our attorney for review. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
I agree with that.
Not that I don't trust our insurance company, but I don't like signing a legal contract like this without the attorney.
Have we, as a board, accepted that truck yet? I mean, I haven't.
No,
heard
it's
any
not
talk about
it's,
this truck until
no, it's
last
not,
week.
it's not a town-owned piece of equipment. It was donated to the Firefighters Association.
So the town has to insure it and they have to house it. I mean, so,
That's what this contract is, that was worked out with Primex, our insurance company. And that's why I'd like to have our attorney read through it and make sure that this is actually gonna cover us and do what it's supposed to be doing. Does anybody from the board disagree with that, or? All right, so Carrie, can you fax this on to the attorneys? And hopefully, they'll probably have a response for us for next week.
Yes.
Next in the accounting folder, the first is the school payment. This month's school payment is $406,720.60.
Make a motion to approve that.
second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Next is a request for payment out of the ambulance billing fund to Certified Ambulance Group for $851.53.
Make a motion to approve that.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. And last in here is all of the elderly tax and disabled tax deferral. Or it's one for map 25 lot 7. The lien has been paid in full. There was a lien on it, so this is just a release of that tax deferral.
Correct.
Okay. So I just need a motion to approve this.
So move.
Second.
The only problem, Carrie, you're gonna have to reprint this because this still has Roberta Frazier and not James Rokes.
Okay. If that's something Amy creates, I don't do that.
Okay,
I'll have her redo it.
yeah. So we'll be able to approve it today, and we'll just have to sign the new one once Amy prints off a new one.
Yep.
So all those in favor?
I wanted to, I just want to make sure that's to release the lien. That tax credit's gone away, correct? I mean, did you look at that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yep. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. That's the last thing in there, and I just thought of something else. Oh, we haven't heard back from Rob DeLuzio yet on those
No,
changes?
I checked with Barry on Monday, and he hadn't heard from him either.
Okay. When I just saw that payment to Certified Ambulance Group, it made me think of it. That's it in the folder. Last week, Lindsay had requested to do a school update this week, so now I will give the floor to Lindsay for the school update.
Thank you, Ben. I greatly appreciate the additional time tonight. I did just want to give a quick update with regard to return to school 5 days a week. That's happening this week after coming back from vacation. So far, so good, or we're into our second week, rather. I did just want to mention our school principal has done an all-call, and she's made a post on Facebook about the safest way to be picking up and dropping off your kiddos. And, you know, we could continue to work on that. Today was a rainy day. There were a lot of people in and out of the parking area. We have students and parents crossing. It is a stressful time because people are really trying to get in and out, but let us remember that safety first. So I wanted to put that out there to maybe even a greater public. My main reason for wanting just a little extra time today was to reach additional people that might not be tuning into our school board meeting and talk about our upcoming elections on the 11th and our budget and other articles that are on the ballot this year. You know, the operating budget was voted on by the budget committee and the school board unanimously to pass. It restores most of the 1.57 million reduction from this 2020-21 budget. It restores athletics, field trips, the athletic director, high school transportation, transportation for students living within 2 miles of the school, a technology assistant. It puts back 3 of the 9 positions that were cut, so there are still, 6 positions that have not been put back into the budget. And it adds back 4 of the 9 para positions, as well as 1 of the custodial positions that was cut last year. It's really important that people understand that the default budget will not include any of this, and we will be in the same situation that we are currently. We talk a lot about busing, but out of those, positions that were cut last year, we have middle schoolers without a language, and we don't have a full-time computer teacher. These are really important things that we need to be thinking about as a community when we think about how we're participating in our greater community in the Monadnock region. The second important article is our teacher contract. Again, it was unanimous between the budget committee and the school board. The school board and the Winchester Teachers Association agreed to a 2-year contract. There were adjustments to the salary schedule. It was kind of important to the board to be attracting at a good starting rate, and it was important to continue to support our teachers that have put a lot of time into the district. It also included an increase to the teachers' contribution towards insurance. There was a lot of give and take, and we did come to an agreement, and it was supported by all. When we talk about the 9 teachers' positions that we eliminated from the budget, we also need to remember that we had a lot of loss in addition. Last year, the comment was, test scores, test scores, test scores. When you gut teaching staff like what happened, you're basically starting over with a professional development plan to continue to develop our teachers and our staff. And we have now lost a lot of that base that we had been training for the better part of 3 to 5 years that they've been working on this. The third important article is our capital reserve fund. We are coming to the end of a long-term bond payment, and in the last 5 years, the board has strived to put together a plan that ensures that we don't need to take out another bond. When you're paying $175,000 off the top for a bond payment, that's basically at any given time of the year, maybe 50 cents, that we could just be taking off our mill rate always by not having to do that again. We have to keep our facility healthy. We've continued to utilize all of our CARES Act. We've utilized, in the last several years, a couple of $100,000 worth of grants for safety upgrades. And so, we continue to need to fund that capital reserve so we can ensure the future health of the facility. It's just as important. The last important article is Article 7, and that's the deficit. I'm not going to explain it here. I'm certainly going to be explaining it again tomorrow in our board meeting, 6:30 in the school gym. We are back live. Please join us. We will still live stream for all of those who are more comfortable that way. I provided a very detailed review of how the deficit came. I've reviewed it a ton of times, but I gave an extremely detailed review, including some history and some date ranges. In our last board meeting on the 15th of April, that video is posted. If you're unsure about that history, you can feel free to email me, lpickard@wnhsd.org. You can give me a call. My phone number is listed on the district website, but if you need it, it is 603-660-0646. I will be glad to explain it to you anytime. What's most important about that article is that the deficit could continue, but that money has already been paid back to the town, and so we're basically just rolling over a deficit that the town is responsible for, and will eventually have, or it has had and will continue to have, a negative impact on our ability to control cash flow and the town's ability as well, because eventually, the school can't take out the TAN, it'll come back to the town. So if you have questions about that deficit, I encourage you to give me a call. All of that information is also readily available on the district website. Every last document, all of our audits, over 400 pages of audit is on the website. All of the history from our auditors clearly explaining that the board never overspent their budget. And so if there are additional questions, I encourage you to reach out. I really thank you, Ben, again, for giving me the extra time. I'm just not always sure that people tune into our board meetings, and I wanted an opportunity to reach as many people as we could.
Yep, no, I did remember last week you had asked for it, and that's why I asked you before the meeting if
Trying to get
anybody
the
saw
word
me
out.
walk over to Lindsay, because I didn't notice it on the agenda, so I just wanted to verify that I was remembering correctly,
With my notepad.
because my memory.
I will gladly answer any questions, if there are any right now, that can be further clarified, or anything that you've heard around town that I could clarify now.
I have a question. Is your facility manager leaving?
Our facilities manager did resign his position. We did have a non-public immediately before we had a board meeting and a non-public immediately before deliberative. I thought that it would come up at deliberative, and we did not seal our minutes. Those minutes are available. But it did not come up at deliberative, so this is our next opportunity. We discussed it at our last board meeting as well.
I just heard that today, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, so he's the third position that has left the district for a considerable increase. And another, critical position that we'll need to be searching for.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, thank you.
And I definitely encourage, to go along with what Lindsay was saying, I definitely encourage as many people to get out and vote as possible. It's a one time a year that we'd like to see as many people come out, and unfortunately most years we see a very small number of people. So hopefully as many people can come out that should come out. I don't have anything else. Does anybody else from the board have anything?
I wanted to suggest, with next week being the elections, 2 weeks from tonight, we could have different members here in the search for the police chief. I know we haven't, reviewed any applications yet, but I think it would be wise if we, hold off for at least those 2 weeks until, in case we do have new members here, rather than go through material now and then
Right.
have to, you know,
Right. I'm
Maybe
actually
redundant.
glad you brought that up because I didn't write it down, so I forgot. It's my memory again. I was gonna actually recommend that maybe we could at least start accepting some volunteer interest forms.
well, yeah, I had thought about that too. If we're gonna do that
I
committee, we
mean,
need to.
if we put it out there now, we don't have to revisit them or review them until we can set the date for 3 weeks from now. That way, if there is a new board, whatever the board is at that time would have time to review what's coming in also.
So in 3 weeks, we'll choose the volunteer.
Well, I would recommend putting it out that we're accepting volunteer interest forms for this committee,
Yeah.
from residents and businesses, with the closing date 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
So that people will have 3 weeks to submit them, and then after that 3 week period, then we can review them. And it would be 4 weeks from now before we'd make any decisions.
Now, how many members did you have in mind for this committee?
I was honestly thinking 7, but then I was thinking about it after, and something like 9 might be more appropriate, because I really wanted to bring it up tonight too, but there was a few people of interest that I feel like we really need to send an invite to for this, one being the principal of the school, because they work hand in hand with the police department very often, so I'd like to have her on the committee. I can't think of who else right now, but she was definitely one that came to mind. So I would like, along with businesses and residents and select board members, I would like to definitely have like the principal, and if anybody else can think of anybody that really should sit in on it.
Steve Alvarez from Iverson said he'd like to set in if we need somebody.
Well, just let them know that we'll be accepting the volunteer interest forms. You can come down and fill one out. Anybody that wants one can get one right from the town hall. Come see Carrie, and she can get you one. The board fine with that? Yeah? Okay, so yeah, we will be accepting the volunteer interest forms for 3 weeks for the committee to... The committee is basically going to read through the applicants and send recommendations to the select board on who should be reviewed through MRI after for the final hiring, or the final review to hire. I feel like a committee between now and MRI would be appropriate and probably most fitting.
I had thought about Trevor Proto. I mean, obviously, we'd have to see. I mean, resident from town. He's been with the sheriff's department for 20 years. He's outside of this department, so.
Right.
I just.
Yeah,
it
he'd
was
be
a-
another good one.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
so if we could reach out to him, or,
Yeah, he has the background and the knowledge, and he's a local resident.
yeah.
So,
And that's all
Yeah.
I had.
right. Does anybody else from the board have anything?
Yeah, we had spoke about it a while ago. I know James did some research on it, about, changing our representation from the law firm, to, Jeremy Hawkinsmith. The dollar amounts are
Well, it's like, again.
based on cases.
Yeah, I kind of looked at what we budget, that Upton and Hatfield's hourly rate, Jeremy's hourly rate, took how many hours, again, what Upton and Hatfield might do in 2 hours could take Jeremy 3. That's a variable we don't, but with his hourly rate versus theirs, looking at savings of potentially $4,000 to $5,000 a year.
Yeah, I remember last time we discussed this, I think the way we left the decision was that,
To go and find and I've had it for a while, we just
Yeah.
haven't.
Yeah, we just wanted to wait until after the deliberative because we already had
Yeah.
Mike coming down.
Committed them.
Right.
We've all spoke about it, and, I mean, it's a convenient thing also. He's, 10 minutes up the road. Never shied away from coming right down, meeting with us in person instead of conference calls. Yeah, I'd make that a motion that we change to Jeremy Hawkinsmith's office.
It's, well, Sheldon, Davis, Wells, and Hawkinsmith.
Right.
Right,
But-
well, we would have to enter into a contract with them, wouldn't we?
No, we have no contract. Carrie looked.
No contract?
Yep, there's no
Okay.
contract.
I just want to make sure we're not putting the cart before the horse.
No, Carrie looked into that a couple months ago, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So how are we going to handle all the current cases?
Excuse me?
The current cases that we have, like Margaret's been working on?
Anything current, of course, we would stay with,
Upton and Hatfield?
up to
Yeah,
that,
Yeah.
right?
once those are,
And then going forward, would be using Jeremy.
Right. Is there a second to Jack's motion?
I'll second that.
Is there any other discussion on it? I honestly I'll make my statement on it. I'm gonna vote for it only because it's still a good attorney and there is a cost savings there. But at the same time, I am not displeased with the services that the town has received from Upton and Hatfield. By
I
any
don't think
means.
that was ever a question, Ben.
Right. No, I just wanted to make sure it was clear that that's not part of any reasoning. So, any other discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. Was there any other business from the board?
I didn't have anything else, no.
Okay, I will now open it to the floor for public comment for 15 minutes.
Todd Klansky, 174 Old Hinsdale Road. First comment I have isn't to do with public, I just want to clarify the whole fire truck thing. Just to put it in kind of a better perspective. Right now, we have the Deuce and a Half is a state-owned truck, we don't own that. So pretty much that truck, the new truck, is kind of per se replacing that one. So it's the same deal where the town pays the maintenance, the town pays insurance on it. It's just the state's truck. So it's a kind of the same deal. Instead of the state owning it, the association owns it. If that clarifies, you look like you're a little iffy on.
No,
Well, I think to, reflect on Chan's concern is that's the first we had heard about it, kind of, was that we were getting a new truck and we hadn't heard anything.
Right.
I wasn't unaware of this association that could purchase, or the truck was donated.
Yeah, the truck was donated.
So that, I think that's what, we were concerned that all of a sudden we have a new truck coming and
Right.
nobody knew anything about it, so,
Rightfully so.
I mean,
Yeah. And then the comment, I wanted to make a quick comment on for your people that you guys have for looking for fire chief.
Police chief?
I'm sorry, police chief. I would suggest asking the police chief, the head of the water department, and the head of the highway, at least, if nothing else, to sit down on these two, because if any major catastrophes happen, they're the ones that have to also work directly.
All department heads?
Right.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, that's it for now. I know I have one more thing. but I'll be back.
as long as, and I like that suggestion, as long as we don't end up, I don't think we want to end up with 11, 12, 13 people.
No, definitely not.
So-
I mean, if we can keep it to the key people we feel like within the town definitely should be on it, and then a couple businesses and a couple residents, 2 or 3 residents, and I think we'll be
Yeah.
okay. But we're definitely not going to be able to have 15 residents and every business in town. And
Well, we also need to figure out how many of the selectmen are, going to show up at the, so, do we need to post it or?
well, it'll be a committee meeting, so we really only need one selectman at it.
Well, if others
Most-
want to be involved though, if 2 or 3 of us want to show up and, how many of the selectmen are going to be allowed to be on the committee is, I guess, what I
Right.
should ask.
Well, yeah, that I hadn't
No.
thought of. Normally, when you have a committee, you only have
Just
one
one rep?
representative from the board on the committee. But,
I just remembered my last question, or something for you guys to think about. We ran into the issue a couple times on the fire department now, where we still have a couple vehicles that are gas powered. We have no gas card, to be able to fill up these trucks after hours. If something ever was to happen major in this town, and we had to fill up gas rigs, we have no way of doing it. I highly suggest the selectmen allow the fire department to have gas cards again. The officers have to punch in a code, in order for the pumps to even be turned on. So then that way there, the signature's right on the piece of paper, who's ever using that gas card. For us not to have one, I think is ridiculous. So I want you guys to seriously consider getting this one ASAP, please.
Now, Todd, are you talking about getting one for each truck, or for each officer they have, or?
No, I think one just in general. We can work out the logistics of it later, but as long as we have one,
You should have
even
one.
if Barry
well,
holds it.
the way it's set up right now is all town has one in their store on file, and they go down to get fuel and they use the card right there in the store. But after hours, once all town's closed,
Not very heavy.
the card's locked up in the
Diesel
store.
trucks can go out to the town shed and fill up,
Yeah.
but any gas vehicle, we can't fill up at all at night. So, we had a couple major brush fires in Hinsdale that utilized quite a bit of gas, so
Yeah,
something to think about. We really gotta look at doing.
we should be doing, I'd make that a motion, get them a car. Have Amy
All right.
get one.
Well, why are there no cards now? You made it sound like you used to have.
There used to be, and years ago, back before I got on the board, quite a while before I got on the board, the board had made a decision to not do it, but I'm not sure what the reasoning was for that.
I think they might have, I don't know who, what, when, but supposedly I heard somebody was abusing the privilege of having the card. I can't prove that. I don't know how they proved it, but whatever. That's done and over with. It's been 10 years.
Yeah.
We need to get up to the times.
All right, so Channing made a motion to,
I'll second that.
okay. And that's
No, the
to get
only-
them one card for,
Talk to Barry, see how many you need of it. It's not one card any good
If that office is not
that guy
there,
isn't
then
around,
yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Right.
I mean, you should have one for each truck, assigned to each truck.
That's up to you guys. I just say
You know, with
I would leave it up to Barry and have Barry and Amy work out those logistics, but maybe, your motion should just be to allow Barry to work it out with Amy to get as many gas cards as Barry feels necessary.
I'll make that motion. I'll amend my motion to that.
I'll second that.
All right, there any other discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. Yep.
You're welcome.
Anybody else from the public?
Hello, Felicia Howard, 7 Melbourne Bridge Road, also newly promoted captain to the ambulance. I just wanted to give you all an update about call volume for April for the ambulance. We were toned out for 58 calls. We made all but 3, and those 3 were all second calls. 2 were covered by Deluzio, and 1 was covered by AMR out of Greenfield, Mass. Our busiest April since 2015. We had 35 transports, 20 non-transports, and total call volume to date right now, we're sitting at 279 EMS calls. We've only missed 8 total for the year so far. And again, all of those were calls that were either a second or a third call. We've already had a busy May to start. We've had 15 calls already, and we've covered every single one of them. So I just wanted to give that little update for you all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I know the board has made this statement a few times since we've started this new program, but we're definitely all very happy with what's been happening over there as far as the calls being covered, and we completely understand the 8 that didn't. And no, we're definitely happy with the good work going on over there.
And we did have both ambulances out twice last month too, so we were able to cover a couple second calls at the same time. And we are hopeful now with COVID kind of winding down that we'll be able to do some more outreach to the community, get into senior housing and contact with those people, blood pressures and stuff like that, meet up with the school.
Yep, no, good work.
How's everything going over there?
It's good. We're still in desperate need of quarters. About a third of our staff lives out of town.
You've known for a little while,
Yeah, about a third of our staff lives out of town. It's really difficult for them to sleep at night sometimes, but we make it work for now. We do.
I know.
Yep.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. You do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Mary Gannon, 33 Parker Street. I just wanted to appreciate the folks who are here in the room and folks who are tuned in live that came in for the community forum on Saturday for the candidates. That was really insightful and just a good way to get folks out and start having some conversations about things that are happening in the community and hear what folks are thinking about. And Jack and Gloria, I noticed that neither of you were there on Saturday. I'm sorry you couldn't be part of that, but I was wondering if you wanted to take a moment. I wanted to invite you to maybe talk a little bit about why you are running again and what it is that you hope to do as far as your candidacy with the select board if you were to be reelected.
I had a previous engagement with my son. I had sent a message to Missy, and I guess it's my fault I did not ask her to read that. But so that's the reason I was not there. But by law, I can't tell you why I'm running because that's campaigning, and we can't be campaigning in this hall.
Great.
So if you'd like to call me,
Great.
or see me out,
Okay, cool.
That's
I'll
fine.
definitely do that.
Okay.
Thanks. I'm sure that's the same for you,
Yeah,
Gloria.
I had a previous engagement, yes.
Yeah. No, and I understand that. I know that, some folks were able to have statements read and others weren't. So I'll talk with each of you individually. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Mike, come on up. And just for the record, Mike, since you mentioned last week that you were 28 seconds off or 28 thousandths of a second or something, I've caught myself now that when I'm home and I hear the bells start chiming, I instantly look at my phone, and every time it's been exactly on the hour, so.
Well, it takes around 5.5 seconds from the time the ball drops to the first strike of the bell. So
Yeah.
if it's 5 seconds after, it's actually on.
Yeah.
Good evening, board. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing of galactic import, just an FYI. Having to converse with my friend up in the steeple every day, I tend to notice things, and there's that old saying, if you see something, say something. For the past 9 months, next to the Senate Church, there is a vehicle that is out there. The inspection sticker expired in September 2019. The plates went down in September 2020. And the manifold is actually sitting on the ground. The muffler is sitting on the ground, and it has a flat tire and a broken mirror. So I don't know who would be responsible for that.
Well, that would be up
The
to
police
us.
department, I'll talk to the police department tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. We'd have the police department look at it, and if it's definitely in violation, then they will tow it. And it sounds like it's definitely in violation.
I thought it might be the proposed social worker that might take care of it.
Thank you very much, Mike, for pointing that out.
Okay. The other thing is, at some point, and we're going to be coming up on this again, probably there seems to be every year a reenactment of the Battle of the Bulge, okay, with respect to fireworks. And I don't think there's a penalty associated with the ordinance, but it just seems that these things are getting louder and louder and louder. And as much as I like to blow things up, I kind of respect the ordinance.
Yeah.
Unlike, you know, a lot of other people. So I don't know where you can go for that. I know 2 years ago, the smoke was wafting across Michigan all the way down to 10, and it was like nonstop for about an hour and a half.
Yeah. I mean, we try our hardest to keep the timeline that people are legally using fireworks to a minimum, but unfortunately there's no way to, I mean, we can't really tell people they're only allowed to buy 4 fireworks to display, or 6
I don't
fireworks.
have a problem with them doing it, but it's the blatant disregard for the ordinance.
Yeah, unfortunately that does happen quite often. What they've found in all the years past is that it's very difficult for the officers to not only be in a bunch of places at once, but to find, and even when there's reports made of exactly who's lighting them off, if they get there and they've already cleaned up and said, no, it wasn't us, I mean, at that point, they really don't have much to work on.
Well,
So
the
they've
close approximation of a mushroom cloud is pretty good tell.
yeah, I mean, realistically, yes, but when they get there and there's no fireworks on the ground that were being lit, that they've already cleaned them up, 'cause unfortunately.
Not to be petty, but then there's also the question of when they get there.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard. It's a hard thing for them to
45
enforce.
minutes and nothing.
Right. At the end of the day, it's just been hard for them to enforce. I know they have gone out, and I've seen the list of warnings that they've given people for not using or lighting off fireworks without a permit. This was a couple years ago that I saw that list. Last year, I was preoccupied with my house. I didn't look at the list, but I don't know what happened last year.
Well, I can imagine that there's a lot of pent-up hostility possibly over the past year, so it's going to be epic this year, I would imagine.
It might be.
Thank you very much.
Mike,
Yes, ma'am.
with all the rain we've been having, how's the leaking situation up there in the steeple?
I was considering asking the town if they would open up a money-making attraction called the water park. The other thing I wanted to bring up, within the next couple of weeks, I will be getting on that project with the plexiglass, but I want to check with Mike Duke first to make sure that what I put in is not going to be ripped out.
Right.
Should he have to set up the rigging, he's going to have to go through the louvers.
Right.
I would like to take the clock out of service within the next few weeks because the rust is starting to build up on the arbors and the pinions, and it's, I've got fluid film on there, WD-40. I've got surface rust starting to accumulate on the strike cable.
Right.
And if that penetrates, that could be a dangerous situation where
Right.
we've got 800 pounds crashing to the ground, 75 feet below.
Yep.
Well, if I recall correctly, you shouldn't be using WD-40. I think it was a lightweight 030 oil you should be using.
WD-40 I use on the pulleys.
Okay.
Okay, on the cable itself.
Okay.
I use the equivalent to sewing machine oil. It's very light.
Yeah.
But again, it is getting surface rust on there. The other problem is you have the time train cable is encased in vinyl.
Right.
Unfortunately, the way things are going up there and where it is leaking in, it's where the copper is. It's that side of the major beam, and Kerry has the information and the map that I drew out for the board. It is starting to wick down that cable, and it's getting on the great wheel, the winding drum,
Yeah.
the motion works as well. So
So you want to just take it out of service long enough to clean it up and
it's gonna,
give it proper attention and,
yeah, it's going to take a good week
yeah,
to clean it up.
but that's all right.
That's all right with you.
We'd rather it was shut down for a week to fix it than let it go and have it shut down for a long time again because it wasn't fixed.
It's got to be done
Right.
because
Yep.
It's not gonna get any better.
Yeah, no, good work.
All of the opinions have to be cleaned too, because the impacted grease has been catching all of the dust that's been
Yeah,
stirred up there, so
Oh,
it
yeah.
has to be wire brushed out.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Good job.
Yeah, definitely a good job with the clock. Anything else from the public? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A32, little E, C,
And D.
and D.
So move.
Second.
Roll call vote, Jack Marsh,
Aye.
James Rhodes,
Aye.
Herb Stevens, Gloria Lusta,
Aye.
Ben Kalansky, aye. We are now in non-public. I do not foresee us having any other business.